Hello, artists and art lovers. I'm K Ryan Henisey, the president at Tag Gallery, and I am very excited to share with you the art of Michael Burnham and his beautiful show, Life is Too Important to Be Taken Seriously. Michael is a photographer, and his artwork is printed on archival paper, showing spectacularly in the gallery. Michael, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be able to present this show. This is great. I've been looking forward to doing something like this for a very long time, so I'm just very happy to be here.
Excellent. I'm so glad. So your show it's very tongue-in-cheek. You've got a lot of absurdity going on with it. What inspired you to look at absurdity as a model for your show?
Well, I've always felt that life is just kind of absurd. I mean, look at it. And I'm not going to get into any details, but just look at it. It's absurd. I've always admired the artists from the Dada movement, the surrealist movement, and existential philosophy. So that kind of all feeds into this absurdity. I mean, life is important. That's why life is too important. It's incredibly important. It's the one shot we have. And so life's too important to be taken seriously. You have to look at it somewhat, a little bit light. You have to take it kind of light or you just get dragged down.
Absolutely. A little bit of fun, a little bit of enjoyment, a little bit of happiness. It's a really important thing. And it's especially important in this time that we're going through right now. One of the things that I think is so poignant about your show and not taking life seriously is that you've really dove into the everyday. And especially with the toasts, for instance.
Yes.
They're hilarious. So tell us about the toast. Tell us about the inspiration.
Okay. This is my Safer at Home series. Okay. The lockdown happened, and for various reasons, I live with someone who has respiratory issues, so I wasn't going to take the risk of getting them infected. So I didn't spend a lot of time outside. I had to stay home, had to stay creative, and just because of things being what they are, I did eat a lot of sandwiches. So as I started eating, I realized as I was pouring, the mayo or the mustard, that it was coming out in some very interesting designs. And so I got more purposeful with it. And one of those is right over there. And it just really brought me some more joy. And I felt like I was actually being very creative. And so this ended up becoming a whole series, which is part of the show.
Yeah, they're extremely wonderful. I love the texture of them, and I love how people they incorporate your vision of what the condiment says,
Yeah.
right? But they also kind of create their own stories, and that's a real joy.
Oh, absolutely. You can interpret these any way you want to. I've obviously numbered them primarily as like Safer at Home 1, Safer at Home 2, which is right over here. But then I've also given them another title. This one's Safer at Home Television, because that's another thing that we do, during this period is watch a lot of television.
Absolutely. And people have been really interactive on the street with your Twinkies.
Yes.
One of the 3 Twinkies that's on display is in the window. And people have put their noses up against the glass to figure out what is this thing and what's happening to it. That one's penetration, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful piece. So tell us about the Twinkies and kind of the message that they're sharing.
Well, the message they were sharing there is, I'm a real admirer of the Dada and surrealist movement. I mean, this is kind of a juxtaposition that you wouldn't expect to see. And the Twinkies, of course, when we were kids, they were just a staple of junk food.
That's all I wanted.
Exactly. They were just a staple of junk food, but they're also really unhealthy at the same time. So that's what the nails represent, is that this thing that is so great, tastes so wonderful, is also could be very dangerous.
Absolutely. No, I completely understand. So I always like to spend a little bit of time talking about process, talking about the art creation. So tell us about your process. A lot of your photography involves the street, but also, so tell us about how you engage with the urban area, but also what are some of the technical gizmos that are part of what your practice entails?
Well, I use of course, actually I've switched. I don't use DSLRs anymore if you want to get technical. I use mirrorless cameras. They're smaller, they're lighter. They allow me to travel in and around LA without being noticed because, I mean, LA is a very, of course, image conscious, photo conscious, video conscious town. And the minute you bring a big camera up to your face, all the attention's on you. But if you have a nice small one, people just don't notice you as much. And that's exactly what I want, because I'm looking to capture, when I'm out on the street, I'm looking to capture moments. Unguarded moments, I'm looking to capture compositions, things like that. And the minute people really pay attention to you, their behavior changes. They get guarded, they stop just being themselves walking down the street, and they become more, I think, more of a guarded kind of image of what they think they should be rather than who they really are. So, and again, you run into situations where people don't want to have their photo taken, and I try to avoid that. And I try to be respectful of it. If somebody notices me and says, hey, I will stop. Yeah. You know, I just try to be respectful of everyone in my photography. I don't want to be a jerk.
Well, the photographs are beautiful.
Thank you.
They're very poignant for the time, and they really do capture the essence of Los Angeles and the streets of Los Angeles, which is a delight to see. Are there any big takeaway messages you want the patrons and the viewers to understand when they're looking at your collection?
Well, this collection's a bit eclectic. It has several different series in it, and what I want them to take away is that there is a randomness to life, and some things don't make sense. That's kind of why you see 3 very different images here, all from the same show. Is that life is kind of random, it's kind of surreal at times, it's kind of doesn't make sense at times, which was, of course, the main thrust of dadaism, is that life is just meaningless. But I don't necessarily agree with that completely, because life does have a lot of meaning and a lot of importance, but it's also just too important to really just be serious all the time, because it can drag you under. So you really got to look at things with a little bit of sense of fun and kind of take things as they come.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We all need a little bit of joy and a little bit of absurdity in our lives. Well, thank you, Michael, for coming. Michael's show is on display at Tag Gallery from August 11 to September 5th, 2020. And we're happy to book appointments for private viewings. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you.